Now I know you've talked a little bit about your politics. You said you're a bit more libertarianish.
Yeah, I consider myself kind of centrist, libertarian-ish. Yeah, lean a little bit and cap, but I'm also got a little bit of left socialist stuff too. I don't know. Libertarian socialist is probably, or libertarian centrist is probably closest.
What's a better future to live in, Deus Ex or Ian M. Banks' The Culture?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm familiar enough. I haven't played enough Deus Ex, or I'm familiar. Yeah, I don't feel I can answer with those two comparisons.
Fair enough. Fair
Um,
enough.
uh, if you're asking me what I think the future holds, I mean, I made some videos on the rise of artificial intelligence and video games. I'm one of these guys who thought back around 2002 that the Turing test would be passed by 2025, and made some bets with some of my friends in game development, and I think I'm going to win those bets now. That I think the Turing test will be passed this next year. So I think our future as humanity is well, I'll be honest. I kind of think by 2036, I think humanity will be completely dependent on our machines, because artificial intelligence will be so good at imitating humans that it'll be hard to tell us apart. We'll be at a point of counterfeit humanity by 2036. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But asking about what the future lies, I think that video games have shown us that we can create these really rich worlds that are just completely engrossing, and they're only going to get better and better. And as we head into the future, like stuff with VR, stuff with the Apple Vision, um, uh, to me, the future looks like a world of VR and gaming, and maybe humans just plugged into their virtual universes while the robots go on to conquer the universe or something.
Have your politics changed due to Gamergate, or were they influenced by Gamergate?
Somewhat. So prior to Gamergate, I like if it was about 2012, 2013, I probably would have just readily said, "Hey, are you a feminist?" I would have instantly said yes. Like, yeah, no problem. Because to me, a feminist back in 2013 was like Camille Paglia or Christina Hoff Sommers, that equality feminism, all about uh, opportunity and allowing women to do whatever they want to do in the world, and knocking down those barriers. So to me, that was feminism. And then when feminist frequency hit and then Gamergate came around, I was suddenly exposed to this neo-feminism, which then I guess is now called like third wave feminism, that Andrea Dworkin, Catherine McKinnon sort of feminism, where it's men are fundamentally bad, that there's something wrong with masculinity. And that was the first I had really been exposed to it. And so you say, did Gamergate change my politics? It did. It made me start asking questions about, well, what do you mean by feminism when people ask questions about feminism? Um, because I'm in favor of one type, but not the other type. And and I was unaware of that blind spot until this came around.
Are you okay with gaming sites criticizing games through a political or religious lens, such as a Marxist, feminist, Christian, or other lens?
Sure, absolutely. As long as they do so and are open about it, you know. Uh, if they want to criticize it, this is a feminist lens, like Anita was doing. That's perfectly okay. It's when it gets adopted as it's the only lens, or it's the correct lens, and that any sort of counter criticism is taken as harassment, which is what Sarkeesian said herself in that Mashable interview in 2017. He asked her specifically, "Have you ever interacted with your critics?" And she said, "I have no critics. I only have harassers." And that is the position, I think, of a lot of folks who are in that kind of woke religion, is that you cannot criticize them because they already have the truth. And that's what I object to.
Okay, I've not seen that specific quote from Anita, so I can't verify it for the book. If you could send
Mashable
it to me,
2017. So yeah.
I know that in the United Nations, she said that "you suck" and "you're a liar" count as criticism. I know that, or count as harassment. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, count as harassment. Yeah. Well, I guess I've been harassed quite a bit myself then.
Now I ask a lot of people if they can, what they think of the framing of Gamergate as the first battle of the culture war. You kind of hinted at this yourself already earlier. Is that how you see Gamergate?
I didn't at the time, but in hindsight, I've started to see it as one of the, as if not the first, but one of the first instances of where it seemed like you can, in hindsight, look back at it and say, I can see where the first lines are starting to be drawn. Um, like I listened to James Lindsay, I listened to Peter Boghossian, and some of these guys who were talking about the culture war in the academy. Writing these books like Cynical Theories, and just talking about how it was happening at that level. And they were comparing the social justice movement to religion around the same time frame in 2014, 2015. And so, yeah, I think that to me, a lot of it is very religious in nature. That there was the new atheism movement that started around 2005 2006 had a lot of people start to lose their religious faith, and I think sweeping into it, the social justice movement was there to pick it up and say, here's something that's good and noble that you can join up with, and it just it became like a new religious position. And that's really how I saw it happening then. It's kind of a counter religion.
What do you think of the framing of Gamergate as a battle within the left between those who believe in small L liberal democratic values, the pluralism that you speak of, for instance, and
Hmm.
those who don't?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to frame it, actually. Because the small, liberalism, that's where I consider myself to be that classical liberal. Yeah, and we were resisting the authoritarian elitist left that was like, here's how it needs to be. Do you agree with that framing, by the way? What do you think?
I think it's a very useful framing. I don't think it tells the whole story. There were some conservative people who supported Gamergate. Um, but I think, well, even most of the conservative, I don't know, actually, I don't know if it's true. There were conservative people who supported Gamergate. Now, how liberal those conservatives were, I don't know. Some of them were. I've got some liberal people in my community, um, who supported Gamergate, and they're like moderate conservatives. But there were obviously people like the one angry gamer guy, and he doesn't believe in liberalism, not even small L liberalism. I'm not even sure he believes in democracy anymore. So, like, so I don't know, but that's so I think it's a good framing because those of us who were, I was more like centrist back then. I'm way more left wing now, but those of us back then, we believed in pluralism, open discussion, debate, free
Right.
speech, having the discussion, and instead of shutting it down, in the value of hearing opposing arguments, and living in a pluralistic society where you have to take into account the interests of a large array of stakeholders and not just like one perspective that's going to stifle everything else. That's how we saw it. We even called them like the regressive left and stuff like that. The
Yes.
people who
Yeah.
were against free speech and against video games being made that they didn't like. So I think
Yeah.
it's a good framing, but it does miss like the small percentage of people who were more right wing and maybe went down a different path where they abandoned liberal democracy.
Yeah. So I do think that there was, and I don't know if Gamergate or, was a convenient way for them to land on things. But there was definitely kind of a right-leaning, anti-feminist, uh, I don't know, attitude that was also present. I think in some of the GamerGate side that I could see how it would lead down that very nationalist sort of like we need to have these really strict rules. Um, yeah, I don't know. My experience was that I was aware of kind of this right leaning thing, but it felt to me that it was more about classical liberal values than it was about anything that was uniquely right. Like nothing that really stands out to me as right wing. Although the regressive left kept calling it right wing, which was really strange. I mean, I kept getting called, and I still get called alt right, and I'm like, well, I have no nationalist agenda. I'm not at all, in favor of what I think the alt right is supposed to be. I haven't voted right wing in ever. I don't even know if I've ever voted on the right. Anyway, it's just kind of strange. that they call anybody to the right of their position all right.
Hi, I'm Tachyon Blue. Thank you for watching another one of my GamerGate book video segments. Altogether, I've interviewed over 70 people involved with GamerGate, and I'm going to be launching a Kickstarter campaign in the coming weeks. So please, I need your support to help make this project a reality. I'm turning these 70 plus interviews into a multi-volume series of books, the first volume of which is already completed. And so I'd like you to please stay tuned for more information about the Kickstarter. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and comment. More updates will be coming in the near future. Thank you, and take care.